The family motto, eat less, contribute more, yes. Home, that magical place where the Wi-Fi is free, the roast potatoes are sacred, and emotional support comes with a receipt. In my family, love wasn't unconditional. It came with terms, conditions, and a probation period. Think of it like a gym membership, expensive, disappointing, and eventually, you'll be kicked out for not using it properly. I was 25, job hunting, living in the box room. Apparently, that made me a mouth to feed. Direct quote. By the way, not even dressed up with a "we love you," but ... Nope. Just straight up, Tesco value level bluntness to them. If you weren't earning six figures by 23, owning a home by 24, and married to someone with at least one LinkedIn endorsement for leadership, you were an embarrassment, or as my dear mother so tenderly put it, loafing about like a university dropout with no ambition. For the record, I did finish uni. I just didn't graduate straight into an executive role with stock options and a parking space, which, apparently, meant I was failing at life. And before you say it, yes, they did have a family motto. Well, not officially embroidered on a throw pillow or anything, but heavily implied during every single dinner. Eat less, contribute more. A real hallmark moment. Meanwhile, my cousin Callum got a standing ovation for becoming a dental hygienist. I got a sigh for putting the bins out without being asked. Progress. But sure, I was the problem. A drain, a sponge, a burden. Just another millennial with too many opinions and not enough money. All in all, a brilliant way to kick off the story of how I ended up buying their house out from under them. But we'll get there. Evicted by blood relatives. How quaint. It happened on a Sunday, which is ironic, really, considering Sunday's meant to be the day of rest, not the day you get lovingly booted from your childhood home by the people who gave you life and now apparently regret it. Lunch was roast chicken and subtle disappointment. The usual. Dad carved, Mom disapproved of the way I chewed, and somewhere between the potatoes and the Yorkshire puds, I got evicted. No shouting, no theatrics, just a gentle, soul-crushing little bombshell over dessert. We think it's time you stood on your own 2 feet. Translation: we're tired of watching you exist under our roof, like a sad little house plant that never blooms and costs too much in water and emotional labor. They made it sound empowering, like they were launching me into the world, not drop-kicking me into a housing crisis. A real "you've got this" energy, while quietly changing the locks behind me. Mom even packed my bags for me. She folded my socks with more care than she ever folded into a compliment. There's something truly haunting about seeing your rejection, arranged in color-coordinated packing cubes. Apparently, I was supposed to say thank you for the push, as if getting blindsided with homelessness is some kind of motivational speech in disguise. Spoiler, it wasn't. It was just cold, calculated ejection wrapped in a smile and served with apple crumble. And no, I didn't cry. At least not until I was halfway down the street, dragging a suitcase with a wobbly wheel and thinking, so this is what personal growth feels like: betrayal and lower back pain. Still, they say everything happens for a reason. And that reason, it turns out, was pure, unfiltered revenge. But we're not there yet. Crash landing, now featuring cheap noodles and existential dread. So, I moved out, or rather, was ejected, and crash-landed into the thrilling world of independent living, which is code for paying £950 a month to cry in a shoebox with no central heating. The flat was technically a studio, which I assume is estate agent language for damp cupboard with a window. If you opened the fridge, you blocked the bathroom door. If you sneezed too hard, the Wi-Fi cut out. Cozy decor. Oh, you mean the crime scene beige walls. The carpet that felt like it had emotional trauma of its own. And one sad little light bulb dangling from the ceiling like it wanted to end it all. Meals were artistic. Picture me, sitting cross-legged on a questionably sticky floor, eating instant noodles out of a saucepan like a postmodern interpretation of rock bottom. Sometimes I added an egg, just to feel something. My job hunt was, let's say, uninspiring. Apparently, a degree in English literature doesn't open as many doors as they promised, unless those doors lead to barista jobs and quiet, polite rejections. Eventually, I got a sales job. Hooray, right? Commission-based, no base salary, just cold calls, rejection, and the slow death of my soul in exchange for the occasional check and an overwhelming urge to scream into my pillow. But hey, money. Honestly, it was like dating capitalism, soul-destroying, performance-based, and you're constantly being judged for not being enthusiastic enough. I wasn't thriving, but I was surviving, which, in millennial terms, is practically a flex. So there I was, broke, bitter, and slowly turning into the kind of person who mutters at the kettle, but still better than living with people who thought I was the human equivalent of a direct debit. And believe it or not, this was the start of my villain origin story, because life had officially kicked me in the teeth, and now I was learning how to bite back. The accidental capitalist arc, desperation, it turns out, is wildly underrated. You'd be amazed what you can achieve when your only other option is starvation or moving back in with people who refer to you as a cautionary tale. So I threw myself into sales, not out of passion, I'm not a lunatic, but because it was either that or becoming a full-time noodle influencer. And I got good, like, suspiciously good, apparently, when you've spent your whole life being emotionally manipulated, selling overpriced products to strangers over the phone. Just clicks. 3 years went by. I blinked, and suddenly I wasn't crying over utility bills or counting coppers for bus fare. I had savings, actual adult money. I had a business, then another. I had a chair that wasn't from the side of the road. Real rags to mildly threatening success energy. I even started wearing a watch, for no reason. Just to look like someone who schedules things and isn't constantly spiraling. Now, did I go to therapy? Of course not. Who needs emotional regulation when you have petty ambition and unprocessed resentment? I simply buried my feelings under spreadsheets and direct debits until they stopped screaming growth. And if you're wondering whether I was happy, I wasn't. But I was winning, which, in this economy, is the next best thing, because deep down, under the sarcasm, under the smug new coffee machine and the don't text me after 9 p.m. attitude, was a wounded little gremlin who just wanted to prove to Mommy and Daddy that I wasn't, in fact, a mouth to feed. I was a mouth that bites, and soon, I'd be feeding on their mortgage. For sale. 2 little words. One giant plot twist, right? So there I was, minding my own emotionally suppressed business, scrolling through Rightmove like any millennial who can't afford therapy but can afford to fantasies about homes they'll never own. When I saw it, the house, their house, the same semi-detached monument to passive aggression and unmet expectations that I had been politely yeeted from like last season's furniture, it was right there on my screen, in all its over-filtered estate agent glory. Wide-angle lenses really do wonders for hiding emotional damage. Apparently, downsizing was in fashion. Or maybe the universe finally decided to dip its toe into the petty pool. Karma, darling, welcome to the chat.com now. I don't want to say I cackled, but I did laugh in a way that startled my plants and made the postman look up. No explanation in the listing, of course. Just the usual estate agent fluff. Charming family home with plenty of character. Yes, if by character you mean years of unspoken resentment and that one hallway where my dreams went to die. I sat there, staring at it. A twisted cocktail of satisfaction, disbelief, and something dangerously close to joy bubbling up, you know. The kind of joy that makes you do reckless things with your overdraft and a point to prove. I wasn't just seeing the house. I was seeing a full-circle moment wrapped in bricks and double glazing. And let's be honest, there was only one thing to do next. The adult thing, the unbothered, healed, totally not still holding a grudge thing. By it, obviously. Beer's revenge, now with legal documents. So I did what any emotionally bruised, financially solvent millennial with a god complex and a grudge would do. I bought the house, full price, cash, no mortgage, no fuss, just one gloriously petty transaction, dripping in revenge and legally binding closure. They never saw it coming. To them, it was just some anonymous landlord with a neutral name and a business address that didn't scream. Vengeful ex-child with abandonment issues. I kept it all very civil, very professional. Very high. Just a faceless investor looking to ruin your peace while maintaining good credit. And oh, the irony. Kicked out for being just a mouth to feed. And now I own the very kitchen walls they used to insult me in. The same lounge where they explained, gently, that I was a financial burden. Yeah, that's my carpet now. Hope they wiped their feet. Honestly, signing the paperwork felt less like buying property and more like baptizing myself in the sweet, holy water of vindication. I was no longer the failure. I was the landlord, the shadowy figure they once whispered about over dinner tables and family WhatsApp groups, now quietly holding the deed to their precious, semi-detached kingdom of disappointment. And the best part, they didn't even know it was me. I was their worst nightmare in a blazer and a decent tax advisor. But don't worry, it gets better. Because if there's anything more satisfying than poetic justice, it's collecting rent from the people who once told you you'd never amount to anything. Coming up next, triple the rent. Double the chaos. Stay tuned. Renovations and petty renovations. Obviously, I redecorated. You think I was going to spend actual money just to live in a nostalgia-powered mausoleum of emotional dysfunction? No, thank you. First to go, Mom's precious floral wallpaper, the one she sobbed over in 2003, because it tied the room together spiritually. Yeah, well, it now lives in a skip somewhere off the M25. I ripped it down like I was exorcising the ghost of every family meeting I wasn't invited to. Then came Dad's lawn. Oh, the lawn. His pride and joy. Trimmed every Sunday with military precision, like he was mowing away his feelings. I tore it up, replaced it with gravel. Ugly gravel. The kind that crunches when you walk on it, loudly, rudely, unnecessarily. The auditory equivalent of, I own this now, Derek. New paint. Neutral, lifeless beige, just like their emotional support. New kitchen counters. Because apparently laminate is so early 2000s trauma. Even the front door got a new color. Postbox red. In your face, passive aggression in paint red. Honestly, it was less of a renovation and more of a petty home exorcism. Every coat of paint was a middle finger dipped in deluxe. Every DIY project was unpaid therapy with power tools. I even removed that weird live, laugh, love sign from the hallway and replaced it with collect, evict, profit, much more honest. So yes, inherited trauma got a makeover. And for the first time in a long time, I was the one creating the atmosphere. Renting to strangers. Now triple the rent. Once the renovations were complete and the scent of emotional closure mixed with fresh paint, I did what any good capitalist forged in the fires of generational disappointment would do. Put it up for rent. Triple the original price. Because the market's unhinged, and I'm not a charity. Not for strangers. And especially not for people who once called me a financial parasite with no drive. Iconic, really. The letting agent asked if I wanted to be competitive with local pricing. I said, oh, I'm not here to compete. I'm here to win. The tenants, young professionals, allowed laughter, deliver loyalty. No emotional baggage connected to the wallpaper. They don't know the history. They just like the layout and the proximity to craft beer. I love them. They've got plants I don't have to water. Careers that don't involve belittling their children. And best of all, no desire to mow the lawn. Dad used to worship like it was the 11th commandment. They make noise. They throw dinner parties. They park ever so slightly over the neighbor's driveway. It's beautiful. And the rent money rolls in like poetic justice, direct debiting my trauma. Every month, I get paid to own the place I was thrown out of, like some emotionally exhausted Monopoly villain with a direct line to karma herself. Honestly, I sleep better now. Not because I'm at peace or anything ridiculous like that. Just because passive income and spite make a surprisingly comfy mattress. The family finds out. Cue the chaos. It had to happen eventually. The truth came out, not through some dramatic reveal, mind you. No. That would have been far too dignified. It was Cousin Jamie. Couldn't keep his mouth shut for more than for business hours. One offhand comment at a barbecue and boom, detonation. The family WhatsApp lit up like it had just been touched by God's wrath and a weak Wi-Fi signal. Furious typing. Paragraphs. Passive-aggressive emojis. Mom's profile picture went black. That's how you know it's serious. Then came the voice note. Mom, in peak martyr mode, starting with, I just don't understand you anymore, and ending with the kind of muffled crying that sounds suspiciously like it was recorded in a parked car outside Tesco. Iconic. Dad rang. Said I was spiteful. Which, to be fair, is possibly the first accurate observation he's ever made about me. You did this out of revenge, he said. Well, yes, Derek. It's not exactly a subtle coincidence, is it? I didn't just wake up one day, accidentally by your house, and redesign your sole patch of lawn into a gravel pit of regret. There was shouting. There were dramatic exits. At one point, Aunt Susan tried to mediate by asking if I'd consider lowering the rent for sentimental reasons. I said sure, I'd knock off 10% for every year of emotional support I received. So, no discount, then. It was messy. Deliciously, gloriously, generationally messy. And somehow, in all the chaos, I'd never felt more emotionally stable. Because nothing says personal growth like becoming the villain in a family saga you were never allowed to star in. Do I regret it? Only when I'm bored. Some nights, when the silence is loud enough to hear my own thoughts, I lie awake wondering, did I go too far? Then I remember those immortal words. Just a mouth to feed. Ah, yes. The ultimate compliment. The warmest hug a family can offer. And suddenly, sleep comes easy. Like a smug little baby swaddled in passive aggression and a mortgage deed. Not all heroes wear capes. Some wear the cynical grin of someone who just bought their parents' house out of spite. and then decided to monetize every square inch of their emotional fallout. I mean, revenge might not be healthy, but it sure pays the bills. So here I am, landlord, entrepreneur, accidental capitalist, and full-time specialist in familial awkwardness. Would I do it all again? Probably. Because in a world that never made sense to begin with, the best you can do is own your story, preferably with a rent check attached. And if you ever feel like life's kicked you out, remember, sometimes, the eviction notice is just the prelude to your greatest power move. Cheers to that.